Performance Testing for Beginners, Part 4. Performance Testing Terminologies. In this video, I will try and cover the basic terminologies that we normally use in our day-to-day office conversations, both with the clients and stakeholders. These are very important terminologies and comes in handy when we wanted to convey our thoughts to different stakeholders in the project. So let us see each of these terms in detail and what do they actually mean. Scenarios. It refers to the sequence of steps in the application under test. For example, searching for a product on your favorite website store. Workload. It refers to the mix of demands or requests placed on the application under test. It is generally measured in terms of concurrent users, data volumes, or number of transactions. Benchmark. It is the standard workload that is accepted industry-wide. We rely on two standards, TPC-C and TPC-W. The TPC-C is an online transaction processing benchmark and TPC-W is a transactional web e-commerce benchmark. TPC-C involves a mix of 5 concurrent transactions of different types and complexity, either executed online or queued for deferred execution. The database is comprised of 9 types of tables with a wide range of record and population sizes. It is measured in transactions per minute. Coming to TPC-W, the workload is performed in a controlled internet commerce environment that stimulates the activities of a business-oriented transactional web server. Baseline. It is nothing but the measurement of an existing system's performance. For example, we have an existing version of software, and when we get a new version update, we always consider the existing version statistics to see whether the new version is a good performer or a bad performer. Concurrency. Occurrence of 2 or more events at the same instant of time is known as concurrency. In simpler terms, it refers to more than one user performing the same action. For example, searching for a product, adding the product to the cart. Think time. It is the time spent by the user between 2 consecutive requests. For example, when we try to log into our email, we enter the username and the password. Even though how much ever quicker we enter them, we still see certain time that is consumed while typing the letters. But whenever the performance testing tool that we use will work on the basis of request and response. So, if you take around 15 seconds to manually input the username and password, the prepared test script will only take less than a second to do the exact steps. So, in order to perform the realistic load on the application, we use smaller pause times after every transaction, and this is known as think times. Response time. It is the interval between user request and the system response. For example, it refers to the time between you clicked on the sign-in page and the time the server takes to show your email inbox. Reaction time. It is the time between submission of a request and the beginning of its execution by the system. Turnaround time. It is the time between the submission of a batch job and the completion of its output. Stretch factor. It is nothing but the ratio of response time at a particular load to that at the minimum load. As you could see on the screen, I have tried to provide a pictorial view of the terminologies that we have learned so far. Please pause the screen for a couple of minutes and try to correlate the terms with your general actions that you perform on any web applications. Throughput. It is one of the common terminology that we hear in our office conversation on a daily basis. It is the rate at which the request can be serviced by the application. Batch jobs. It is measured in jobs per second. CPU. It is measured in million instructions per second or million floating point operations per second. Interactive system. It is measured in requests per second. Network. It is measured in packets per second or bits per second. Transaction processing. It is measured in transactions per second. Bandwidth. It is the measure of data that can travel through a network. Usually, it is measured in kilobits per second. For example, a modem line often has a bandwidth of 56.6 kbps and an Ethernet line has a bandwidth of 10 Mbps. Latency. In network, latency is the synonym for delay and is an expression of how much time it takes for a packet of data to get from one destination point to another. In some cases, latency is measured by sending a packet that is returned to the sender and the round-trip time is considered as latency. Reliability. It refers to the mean time between failure. Availability. It refers to the mean time to failure. Cost. Amount of money involved for hardware or software licenses, installation and maintenance is called as costs.